Boom, boom, boom. Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Kine Heart's Mobilecast. And we are in Chicago. And today we have a guest and my best friend from high school. World renowned. One of them. It was like one of them. One of three, I guess. Well, no.
Who's this
Very,
person?
very talented video editor, and motion graphics expert, Dianne Lee. Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Hello.
Yeah, you're good.
Speak up.
Yeah, you're good. So, Dianne Lee, good to have you on the show. Yeah, it's just because we're like really good friends, so it's like not like an artist. Anyway, whatever. So, Dianne, so tell us a bit about what you do.
I'm a freelance video editor, and I mostly work on like commercials and, well, not really the commercials you see on TV, but like the ads you see right before the YouTube video you actually want to see. So I make like that stuff.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the one you want to skip as soon as possible. So that's
So
me.
you have seen her work. All of you have seen her
Yeah.
work.
You're welcome for wasting your time.
For 5 seconds of your time.
Yeah, for 5 seconds every time. But no, it's also, there's just a ton of like Chicago artists in the area, so it's fun to collab with them and make like narrative work and pieces. So that's fun.
That's dope. But you also do motion graphics, right? Or have you?
I do a little bit. I
Yeah.
think I've kind of focused more on editing, but motion graphics is fun because you can really just create all of your assets and do everything yourself.
Mm-hmm.
With editing, you're kind of really beholden to the footage you have.
Yes.
Like, you can be really creative with it, but at the end of the day, you just got to use what you have. So.
Yes. So, people in production, not post-production, but pre-production. Yes. Make it easy. Make it easy for the editors, for the post-production people. So do your job correctly.
Help us, help you.
Yeah, exactly. Do your job correctly, according to the constraints and the vision of the objective of the project. So, what's your story? Like, how did you get into it? I know her whole story. You know, we've known each other since middle school. But yeah, tell the people how did you get into all this stuff and
So I went to school for film, and I don't know. I don't think I really took it seriously. I just thought it was a major that I would be interested in, and I think it wasn't until I got an internship at an advertising agency where I started like just doing more of the actual like video editing because I had to, because they were understaffed. I think I started liking the process. So I don't know. It was a great experience interning at a big agency because it's kind of a all hands on deck. You dabble in production, you do a little bit of coordinating, you work with the talent, and then you do editing. And then I just found myself gravitating towards the editing because, I don't know, I always thought editing is kind of a way for an introverted person to speak their voice without it being super direct. So that was like a perfect medium for me, just being a little bit introverted. So and then I had the opportunity to work on some like really cool projects, and I really loved, again, like I said, like the process, and it really is like so much of it is organization and attention to detail and the creativity. I've always had trouble like really pinpointing like what source of creativity is, but editing kind of helps me find it through the process and through like the organization and through the details. So for me, that was like a conduit to like the pool of creativity for me. And then after working at an agency for a little bit, you just naturally kind of plateau in the type of work that you do. So I decided to go freelance to just learn more quickly, and I've been doing that for like 7 years, I guess.
You've been freelance for that long already? Oh yeah, so 2014 you stopped?
Yeah, 15. Oh, I guess
6 years?
6 years, yeah.
So, yeah, wow. Oh, so while you were in the agency, were there any cool projects what were some cool projects that you worked on?
We worked on a few pitches. Like, we worked on some, like, beer brand pitches. Some that we won, some that we didn't, but that was just such a fun. It was like almost like a creative retreat where it's like art directors and writers. You work hand in hand with them, and a lot of times it's just it goes so fast. You don't really get a full-fledged idea, and as an editor, you kind of become like a creative partner in that sense, where you know see the script and then you kind of get to bring your interpretation to it, and then you know from that kind of inspires the art directors and the writers, and it's like this really cool just like snowball effect of you know a cool idea coming into fruition. And that's always fun, and that was always fun because you know as editors and in the post-production world you're just kind of the executor of an idea, but it was cool to be a little bit more in the brainstorming process.
Oh yeah, that's dope. Yeah. Very dope. What about once you got freelance, what were some cool projects that like kind of that you were like really like appreciative of, or like resonated with your soul, so to speak?
Freelance projects that
no, I'm just joking. I just followed the money.
Yeah, I mean, truly, I don't know, but like, I don't know. Like I said, it's like, for me, it's very much like the process that I enjoy. So it can be like a dumb video that's only gonna live like on your Instagram. I'm just kidding. It could honestly just be the most trivial of things, or it could be like this huge commercial spot that's like on the Super Bowl. Like for me, it's like I'll approach it the same way regardless. So it's just, I think, yeah, I just like love it. It's like it's like, you know, you're going into your own world, like when you open up the program and you have full control, and it's kind of like a nice solace from, you know, a world that is not completely controllable. So.
Well. You like having agency. Oh, so this is actually her spot in Albany Park. Yeah, it's really nice, very IKEA-esque in some aspects.
We are in Adobe Premiere. This is.
She has a nice studio in the back. It's like there's a keyboard, guitar, you know, like, and then her workstation. It's like really nice place. I'm like, oh, it's so dope. So it's cool for me. You know, we've known each other since middle school when I moved to Georgia, and then like we had the same like math class, I think. And then, yeah, just seeing her like grow professionally, and then like now she's like has full agency of her own lifestyle as well as her work. So, in a sense, yeah.
I mean, you're the same way. Probably.
No, I'm not worried. I don't have my own. Like, yeah, I guess. No.
No. But yes.
No. But it's not about me. It's about you. So, no. But like, yeah. But yeah. What about? So, can you elaborate more? You said how you like video editing because it gives empowers like introverts to like share their voice. So, can you elaborate on what you mean by that? Because I know there's a lot of people who are interested in getting into video production.
Yeah.
You can provide some insight.
I don't know. I think for like when you get a script, I think it's the challenge of it is really fun because you can like try to edit it literally, or you can be as metaphorical as possible. So it's like, you know, if someone, you know, in the script it says like something about belief, you know, you can interpret that as like religion, like belief in a religion, belief in yourself, belief in a sports team. And I think like when it's open-ended like that, like that's an opportunity for your voice to come out and be like, well, belief, this is what belief means to me. And it's like, it might not be exactly like on brand per se, but it's an opportunity to like, you know, open someone's mind to what that might be, or, you know, be like, oh, that's like just a new fresh perspective. I don't know, I think like the ability to challenge, I guess, like mainstream perspectives is kind of fun and interesting too.
So give an example of some mainstream perspectives you like challenging.
That's a good question.
I'm full of those.
I don't know.
Well, you were big on like Asian American, you know, like creatives in the Asian American space that often music industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I'm answering for her because I know that's one thing she's like pretty.
Yeah. I
solid
don't know. I
on.
guess that is like the ongoing challenge. Like for me, that's the goal. But at the end of the day, it's the client that pays you money, so it's whatever they say goes, kind of. So it's like, you know, I'm just gonna do what the clients want me to do at the end of the day. So it is a little bit defeatist, but I don't know.
Nice. Well, I mean, uh, I mean, do you have a plan of? I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of ideas through your client work of like, oh, this is like a cool way to tell this, and then like as you formulate your own voice to be something, making something completely original that's like you. I feel like you're just like biding your time, putting in work, and learning as much as you can before something like you find something you're really passionate about and to communicate visually and.
Yeah, I feel like there's that, and then like the flip side of it, I think it's like the tyranny of perfectionism, where it's like, as I'm imbibing all these different techniques and these different like ideas from the work that I'm like able to do, at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, am I ever gonna be able to do it this way, or it's like, am I ever going to like one up this? And so there's like a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of like self-doubt that comes with a lot of the inspirations, and I feel like that's been my biggest struggle, I think, like my whole life, really. So
It's like a lot. I'm sure a lot of artists attest to this. I'm sure. Here's an example. Like, whenever I hear a beat and I hear the person's verse who already did it, I'm just like, oh, I gotta like one of it. But sometimes they just kill it so much. I'm like, I don't think I can follow that up, so I just leave it be. But like that beat is hard, but so I just leave it in reserve. Like, and then I have like a lot of those beats, you know.
yeah.
Yeah. So just to like try to lyrically compliment, and then anyway. So it's something very similar. Yeah, I don't know. That's just to refine a perspective or provide a different perspective with context. So, is there certain industries or like movements that like kind of that you enjoy like projects you like working on, or like stories that were very heartfelt that you think needed to be shared more?
I always really love like, I don't know, interviews or stories where it's from people that really undermine like person to person conversations. So I think like there's like videos or whatever where it's like, I think there was like this Asian son who was forced to call his like mom, or like vice versa, and just like have a real conversation and be like, oh, thank you for all you've done, like I really love you and I'm grateful. And it was like so uncomfortable, like the way they said it, and it's like just capturing that experience. It spoke to just like the history, the culture, like everything about, I don't know, like the Asian family dynamic.
We'll go on to that more.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, I feel like, I've also like interviewed my dad once, and just out of like just randomly, but from that experience, it's like he shared so much that we would never talk about in any other instance. So I think there's like an interesting, I guess, power to filming something, and I don't know if it's because there's like this imaginary audience that you kind of want to perform for, or what, but I think it's like, yeah, I don't know, I think it kind of puts people, it makes people like just try harder, or I don't know, do better.
Yeah, so I think this was when you were in school. You interviewed. Remember that violinist or violist?
Oh yeah, violist.
He was a violist, and then there was a cool part, and I like, cause he was like he was explaining his love.
I can't believe you remember this.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember because I remember I talked to you about it. So what happened was essentially he was getting interviewed about his love for viola, and he was like part of the the school orchestra, right?
The symphony, yeah.
Yeah, the symphony, sorry, and up at Northwestern, and then that's where she went, her alma mater, and then in Evanston, because she got Illinois for anyone new one, she said, and then he was saying, I forgot exactly what, but this was like 10 years ago that I saw this, right? I remember I was in Thailand when you said that to me, and I think, if I remember correctly, and then but he was just like, as he was explaining himself, there was like he reached an epiphany, and he's like, oh yeah, and I guess that's why I do something like that, right? And it was like a process. It was a very beautifully captured moment of self-discovery that she was able to witness and then capture it and then immortalize through the video interview, right?
Yeah.
In a sense. And then I commented on that because she sent it to me for feedback, and she's like, oh yeah, that's why I like doing this stuff, because it's like, oh, it was like really cool, and then like, you know, just seeing her passion for that aspects. So I was no surprised that when she talked about interviews and like all what she was saying about all that stuff. So anyway, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and it's like, I like totally forget that, but when I do, I'm just like, it gives me like a breath of fresh air. Like I feel like sometimes when I like talk about all the commercial work, which is like, you know, the bread and butter, like the money stuff, it does become monotonous, and there are like very rewarding aspects of it, but it's like at the end of the day, like, you know, I think people use screens, people use social media to like just try to connect with each other, and it's like, you know, and I feel like a lot of times like media has made that harder to do and just added so many more barriers and so much more space and like more disconnection, quite frankly. But yeah, I think like, you know, the opportunities where you can actually draw people closer and like get rid of that disconnect, you know, that gets me excited, or that, I don't know, yeah, that makes me like, oh, I should work harder, I should try harder to, you know, aim for that more.
And then she's actually pretty good at kinetic typography, or at least when you were doing that.
Yeah.
So if anyone doesn't know, kinetic typography is like a form of motion graphics where like they take a quote from a movie or someone, like a line from a movie or something, and then they make these kinetic typography. They make a move according to like how would you say, artistically move and like animate that.
like how it's rhythmically perceived.
Yeah, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. So I have a couple. I was like back when I was working at Hacks, I like would try to do work with, like, just experiment with that, and that was really fun. I love words and I love language, and then but the two that she did for me was, because I remember I just randomly, I was just like, oh yeah, if you were gonna die tomorrow, what would your message be? And it's like, we're all gonna die anyway, so we might as well be nice to each other. And then she made this thing. And then the second one was, for the man who swallows. All right. The man who swallows with pride is hated the most. Or who swallows with pride is his lack of pride is hated the most.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So it was from Meditations?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I remember I sent it to you because I just thought it was like something.
And then I applied it to myself, and I took it personally.
Yeah, and I was like, no, it's not. But I mean, I could see why you would think that. No, but it was like, I thought you would like the play on words, because it was like, the man who swells with his lack of pride is the most proud, or the most prideful, or something.
Yeah, the man who swells with pride at his lack of pride is hated the most.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then well, it made me think of Jesus. So.
Oh.
Like, cause he's all preaching humility. I don't know, and then
That's interesting.
I don't know. So us growing up in like Korean Christian community of Atlanta, I don't know. For a long time in my 20s, I was harboring a lot of resentment to my upbringing. Anyway, that's a different story. So.
Wait, but why? So what was your reason for resentment? I can go into mine, but like, what did you resent the most about that upbringing, that particular religious?
Because
specifically Korean religious, because that's like a whole breed.
Yeah, that is. So Koreans are really judgmental. They're like all about excellence, and then Korean moms talk so much bullcrap, like, oh, this Korean mom sucks, blah blah blah. They're like, look at my child. And they like always try to brag and like uplift and create these like, I don't know, this is so stupid. And then like just a whole bunch of status battles and stuff. For me personally, it was whenever I was really curious, and whenever I questioned stuff, everyone said, just have faith, just have faith. That was never enough. And then when I was like 18, and then that had a 3 year period of like a lot of doubt, and then walking away. Because when I went to Thailand, I was like, all these people are gonna go to hell, and they're like a lot nicer than a lot of Christians. And I'm like, I don't want to believe in a God who's gonna send these people to hell. And like Muay Thai is like, I fall in love with Muay Thai, and I'm like, if the people who created Muay Thai are gonna go to hell, I'm gonna go to hell with them. I would rather go to hell with them type shit.
Yeah.
And then but it was more of, it stifled my curiosity because I was a curious person. So I felt like had I not grown up in that type of environment, I would have been much further ahead in terms of just knowing stuff and like my process of searching for answers of things I was curious about. That was, and then so I was like, what, 18, 21, I'm like, oh, I'm this much, and I'm like, now, and at 21, 22, that's when I like really sparked my like motivation to learn on my own.
Yeah.
Without the aid of school, so that's when I like read a bunch and stuff. Anyway, so a lot of controversial books too. So like anyway, but it was just helping me develop my critical thinking skills and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I just felt a lot of Christians lacked.
Yeah. I mean, you could also argue though, it's like that stifleness and inhibition, like it kind of created this like dam, right? So that by the time that you kind of came to your own senses and you had a little bit more, I don't know, like consciousness and self-awareness, like it created so much of this potential like built up energy.
Yes,
and then you like propelled into everything that you did. So it's like
So I like that's exactly, so that's the flip side. I'm like, because it created like repressed all this drive to know, and then so much disappointment from that. But I was like, and then like felt like betrayal, all this shit, and then like it just motivated me to like channel that. So there's a lot you can turn like pain or any kind of strong emotion into power, right? If you channel it correctly, and, like if you discipline yourself. But yeah, what about you?
What I resented in my religious upbringing.
You said you did.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Absolutely. I think anyone who there's resentment there. I think for me it was like, it's weird. I think it's tied in with like the idea of goodness, and it's like honestly, it's like a topic I talk with my therapist constantly. Where it's like, I think, like through church, but also through my upbringing, it was very much like you are not deserving to exist unless you're perfect or you're good. Or it's like this weird like I have to be like so good, otherwise I am terrible. There's like no middle ground. There's like no just like state of being. And I think that's what religion does. It like creates this like black and white and not a lot of room for gray. But yeah, I think that's like something I kind of still struggle with now is like, am I being like the best person I can be like on all the different situations? And when I strive for that, it's like exhausting because it never feels authentic. You're always it does seem like kind of performative, and at the end of the day, you're just like, do I really even believe in the things that I'm like, trying to do my best in or like show up for? So it's almost kind of like you are caught in a momentum and you have no idea what the source is, or it's like you don't even know where you're going or like the why. But I don't know, or maybe I'm just like overthinking things because I also do that a lot too. So
for sure. So kind of focusing back on the art. But then like a lot, so art, they draw a lot of like a spiritual inspiration, right? For art, just based on your beliefs, all your perspective, that all comes into play with your art, right? But so for you, what are some of your artistic inspirations?
I really love the director Barry Jenkins. He did like Moonlight, and then what's it called? I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, he just like everything about his films, it's just like so poetic. Like when I was like talking about how it's like when you have a script, it's open for interpretation. It's like I feel like it's like his movies are just like poetry. It's like never kind of on the nose. It's just like from like the color scheme to the music to everything, it just like creates like feelings, and it doesn't necessarily like explicitly say in his like dialogue like, oh, I feel this, or it's like, you should feel this is why, you know. It's like very, I don't know, it's just like beautiful. Yeah, it is like this beautiful, colorful poem, I feel, his films.
Visual poem, like visual, like all senses, or visual.
Yeah, I mean, even like he works with this composer, his name is Nicholas Bertel, and it's like he's a genius. He does like the main,
like Hans Zimmer genius.
Maybe not Hans Zimmer genius, but I mean he's like super close. But he did music for like The Big Short. But
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just like it just like hits your heart so hard. His music.
Big Short was hard. That's a really good movie. Come think of it. Dang. So those are directors. So you,
yeah, Barry Jenkins is a director.
Yeah. That's a director. And then who else? Are there any other people? Whether it be video editors that you look after on YouTube, look up, you try to learn from on YouTube, or it could be just any kind of artist, or.
Yeah, I don't know. Artist. No, not really. And it's kind of bad.
Barry Jenkins. So dang. You could go Barry Jenkins according to Dianne.
Yeah, I mean, even that, I'm not like a huge fan by any means, but it's just like all of his movies, I'm just like, wow, if I were to ever make a film, I would love to make it in that way.
Wow.
Just because he says so much with doing very little. Or there's like within a 2-hour time frame, or however long his movies, it's just like you feel not just like what the characters feel, but like the context of why they feel that way, like the societal context, like the cultural, the historical. It's just so much, and it's just like overwhelming sometimes. But
that's assuming the audience gets it, understands, like, or is it?
That's that's true. I mean, it's like and this is like for me personally, I like that's how I watch it, or that's how I like, I guess, like digest all of it.
Oh. So last night we were talking about how. So she was telling herself my songs, and she said there's like I pack a lot in my prose, my bars, that like a lot of it goes over her head, and not just everyone says that to me. I'm like, I don't care. I like poetry. I understand it. I'm thinking to myself, this is my therapy, so whatever. Which is it's not no mainstream appeal, which is why no one knows. 200 views per YouTube video, whatever. I don't care. But like, it makes me happy, right? So. She was describing how she does that with video editing. So I was like, can you elaborate on an example of how you deeply layer, like let's say, you have like a 10-second clip of something, and then you're trying to pick the most 2 seconds something of it, or and then how it could, an example of how it could be layered.
An example of how
editing, you like, pack a lot into a little, and then sometimes you said you missed the mark. I believe that's what you said.
Yeah, I think. I guess there is like one video editor, like mentor. He was like my old boss, but I think he told me it's like editing. All it is really is just juxtaposition. You put like one shot, and then you put a different shot, and somehow the audience makes a connection. And it's like, as an editor, you kind of guide them into like what that connection is. But a lot of times I struggle with like, oh, is the audience gonna get it? And so it's like I start intermingling like a lot more shots, so to make a more linear like progression. I feel like it would make. I wish I could think of an example that would be a little bit more concrete. Okay, let's say it's like a couple beginning a fight, and you just see, like, I decide to use a shot of like a woman crying, and then a sound effect of like footsteps and a door slamming. It's like, that could be enough. Like if it was filmed correctly, if it had the right music and tone, like people can maybe assume that. But sometimes, I think like I will be like, oh, no one's gonna understand it. So then I'll like maybe cut in like, a shot of the guy, or then a shot of, or do like flashbacks of, the fight that happened before. And I don't know, maybe that does help, but it's kind of like, I'm not necessarily doing it to like better the story. I'm doing it out of fear that just people won't get it. Oh. So it's like, then at that point it's kind of like, yeah, am I just doing it for the audience, or am I doing this scene, giving it like tonally, like emotionally, like the best, most poignant like perspective? And that's what Barry Jenkins does, is like minimally with music, with like just pacing and tone, like he's able to capture like so much emotion and sentiment without having to be like, this person is feeling this, cut to this person is feeling this, and it's like, I think that's, I guess like simplicity is the purest form of
simplicity is is the ultimate sophistication, as they say. And then a lot of it's just like they say, it's not how much, it's not adding more on to send the message. It's more about taking away, right?
Yeah.
To the bare minimum, bare essentials. Right? Yeah. To make the message across.
Yeah, and then by doing that, I feel like it's you give a shot so much more weight, or you help the audience like observe much more deeply, and be a little bit more keen.
For sure, that was the alarm, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna we're just like we're actually gonna rush, but this is just more of an introductory thing, and then we'll check in on you because I have to go to Chicago more now and get plugged in with different communities and stuff. But this is the what we ask all our first time people. So I can think of, so if someone asks you, how can I become a video editor? How should I start?
God, that's such a good question. I don't know. I think for me, it's like if you find a song that you really love and you start picturing something in your mind that this, like a scene or something that the song would match to, it's just like go on YouTube, go on Vimeo, just download all those clips and like cut a scene together.
This is a dope insightful answer. Okay, how about this? If someone comes to you, how do I become a better storyteller?
I think this is so cheesy, but I think it is just like meet more people, have more random conversations, and just kind of like be a better observer.
That's good. Like Chuck Palahniuk on Joe Rogan, Fight Club. He was talking about all this. It was went really deep on storytelling. That's like it's very similar to what he said.
Yeah.
And then let's say, because a lot. When someone says, "How can I be like more like you?" What would you say?
This is actually a quote that you shared with me a long time ago that I always have implemented, but I think it's, I expect more of myself than anyone could ever imagine. I think it was from some basketball player.
I think that was Tiger Woods.
Oh, was it Tiger Woods?
I expect it's like, so it doesn't matter what. I think it was like as a kid he was like, yeah, my standards for myself, my expectations for myself are way beyond what anyone expects of me. So it doesn't matter what they think. It's like because it's like so it was something like that. I'm pretty sure it was Tiger, but that's the only one that's coming to my mind, right? So interesting. Yeah, I
mean, it's like it has its pros and cons, like obviously, but but in the long run, I think it is like it has propelled me to push myself, and I don't know.
Yeah, she's a very deep thinker. She's very well read, and as you can probably tell. Also, how about what if someone said, "How do I become more original?"
I don't think I'm like the right person to ask.
So honestly. She's still that's a very proud. I'm like proud that she would say that to try to even admit that, because like she's saying that I don't know, there's like this, she doesn't feel worthy of being in a position that she's in a position to be able to answer that, because she's still finding herself or finding her voice and her originality.
Yeah.
So this is
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, which is dope. And that's fine. So, and this is just a snapshot in time of where she is in her artist journey. And Dianne Lee, thank you for being a guest on our podcast. You know.
Steve Cho, it was a pleasure.
Yeah. Best friends from high school, Northview High School, 2008. What's up? We're from the Koreans from Atlanta. Shout out Kine Media. What's up, everyone? This is Dianne. she always does this. She's like,
I hate this so much.
she's like, do I know this guy? I don't know. Just let you know. I know this is a random question, but random thing, but a bunch of females, I guess, do not like me because I was a mean person. And she was the only one constantly defending me from high school, post high school, like post college.
You're my church charity case. I'm kidding.
What is
I'm
that?
kidding.
What do you mean by that?
I was kidding. No, I was kidding. It's like
I don't even know what you mean by that.
No, it was just like a joke on.
Yeah, I know
our
the
religious
joke.
Upbringing stuff, but.
Church charity. I don't even know what that means. I don't know how.
You know, like a mission. You know, like we went on those dumb mission trips, and it was like, oh, we feel like we need to go and like enlighten people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a joke that you were my mission trip.
Oh, that she's evangelizing, or are you evangelizing on my behalf to like defend me? Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's fun. Man, I need more sleep, I guess.
No, we could. Yeah, we just cannot put that in there. That's okay.
No, we'll leave it in.
I'll edit it out for you.
Yeah, no, I'll edit it. It's all good. But yeah, anyway, Steve Cho, Dianne Lee, videographer from Chicago, doing her thing, and Kine Media, we out. Peace. Come from Chi-Town. Let's go. All right.